بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الخلق أجمعين اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم ربنا بارك لنا في القرآن اللهم ربنا زدنا علما واجعلنا من أهل العلم يا رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, we are in the Ayat Kursi. We talked about it last week. We started with it, inshallah. Altogether, it's the most amazing ayah in the Qur'an. As we all know, the Qur'an, there's three things in the Qur'an. Ultimately, from these three things goes back to one. The three things are Tawheed, talking about the nature of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number two is Al-Ahkam, is between Zawaj, Talaq, marriage, divorce. The third one, Qasas. The third element is stories in the Qur'an. But all the three elements in the Qur'an, and you could probably separate them in more elements, but ultimately, these three, they go back to one thing and one thing only, to prove or to show the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, and to show us some of His attributes. Some. There's no way with our knowledge, there's no way with our logic, with our way we could measure things, we really could truly understand what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all about. It's impossible for us. When we were in school, our Sheikh used to always remind us of something, and he always used to bring it up all the time. He say, if you have a little ring, you put on your finger, can you possibly make this ring surround a big circle? Impossible. The big circle surrounds the ring. So you always got to think of yourself as you are just a ring in the scheme of things somehow. And there's things are way bigger, way more complicated, and there's no way for this ring to really surround it, to be able to fathom it, understand it, or to really get the parameters of what is going on around it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His rahmah has, in the Qur'an, has described Himself, and He named Himself to make it easier for us. He named Himself, He has 99 names in the Qur'an, and we talked about the very first name, which is Allah, the word Allah. We talked about it last week, alhamdulillah. It says, we described Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, la ilaha illahu. There's no deity, no God, there's nobody, no thing, no creator worthy of worship, to be deified, to be worshipped, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Hayy, the ever-living. Al-Qayyum, the one that stands by Himself and keeps the affairs of others. And that's the Qayyum, the two meanings. That's three right there. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. And we talked about the sleepiness. And this is something you and I will always talk about. We say, you know what? We get somebody who's like, an employee in a company, a security guard or something. You say, you know what? He has an 8-hour shift. You could extend it, make it maybe 16-hour shift. A little bit more, maybe 20-hour shift. But eventually, this somebody has to go to sleep. And we think about, okay, fine, you could be up on your job. You could be really up and on your full capacity up to a certain point. But then, according to our mind, that we think that all creatures, they have to go to sleep, they have to relax, they have to, to be somehow absent from their full capacity of what they can do. And not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But also there's something else. Is that something in between being fully alert and fully awake and be fully asleep? There's a sinatun wala nawm. There's no drowsiness, there's no sleepiness. And this is actually, in our days, is actually more dangerous. How many people you know that they heard themselves sleeping, being asleep?
A lot.
Being asleep? A lot?
Yeah, accident or...
No, watch. Let me go back to the question. How many people you know, when they are asleep, they heard themselves? Hardly ever. But most amount of accidents is when you are not awake and you're not asleep. It's right in between. You're getting sleepy. And this is the car accidents, this is the truck accidents, this is the nuclear reactor accidents, the this is the disastrous accidents when somebody actually, he's not, if he's asleep, he's asleep, that's it. The guy's, he gave up. And for us, as for the whole universe, can you imagine of somebody, and we declared him earlier, we said, He'll Qayyum. He's the one who keeps the affairs of heavens and earth. He keeps his own affairs. He does not need no one. All the creation needs him. He needs no one. And he keeps the affairs of others. Should we question and say, does he ever go to sleep? Well, in my mind, I think, yeah, we all do. Deer, creations, humans, birds, everybody got to go to sleep sometime. And we ask, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala go to sleep? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us he never goes to sleep. And does he ever kind of get sleepy in between? Like maybe he's not fully concentrating? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. And you see the word لا تأخذه does not take him. Does not take him. Nothing takes away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Now, we declared his qualities. We declared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares or shows his nature. Now, what about his ownership? What does he own? What belongs to him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Lahu, for him, to him, for him, belongs heavens and earth, and everything in between. When you say heavens and earth and everything in between. So, when you look at things, you look at the mountains, you look at the sky, you look what's in my pocket, you look at me, my body, all belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the owner of all. He is the controller of all. He is the one who sustains all. Now, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. We got here, inshallah, right? Allahu a'lam. Now, this is the most amazing part of, one of the most, subhanAllah, the whole ayah is just amazing. But this here, watch, the way it's been said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to talk about his control, about his jabarut, about his majestic nature, that nobody has anything to say in front of him or in his behalf or around him or anything without his permission. Without his permission. Now, we got to look at it in two ways. Way number one is that this is to substantiate the strength and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he's saying it in the most subtle way, in a very subtle way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not saying that if anybody comes, I will destroy him, I will kill him, I will do this, even though he can. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's saying it in the most merciful way. He's saying that who would dare, who would possibly do the most, the simplest task in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is to intercede in the behalf of others, which is the shafa'ah, to intercede in the behalf of others. And why is this intercession is important? Here on the face of this earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said rules and regulations for us to do things. And we use it, and this is what we say, asbab, to do things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to make somebody rich. You don't get up in the morning and find $1 million under your pillow. Is it possible? Yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can he do it? Of course. But how many times have you ever seen it? Never. Or maybe once. Surely it did not happen to me. So, but see, what we think about is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he wants somebody rich, he would get him rich through a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set rules and regulations with. Could be an inheritance, out of nowhere. All of a sudden you get a phone call, you got a distant aunt that passed away in South Africa somewhere, in Brazil somewhere, and guess what? Here's $1 million. SubhanAllah, That's one way. The other way is that, SubhanAllah, you find like yourself, all the people are like, maybe are, they have factories, and your factory happened to be in the most distant place on top of the mountain. Earthquake strikes, and all the factories, they get destroyed except yours. It just happened to be in the most unusual place, which is in our standards unusual. You got saved, now you become the man with $1 million property right there because everything else got destroyed. And so far and so forth. The rain, drops. comes in, and sometimes we have the rain, floods everything, and one guy, he's the owner of this fleet that's, can do the work, and he's the one end up cashing out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the money in His own ways. Now, in front, here on the face of this earth, what about the akhirah? What about in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the day of judgment? Once this heavens and earth being abolished and is gone. What leverage do we have? What ways do we have in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We have nothing except ash-shafa'ah. Our deeds, our actions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds them accountable, holds them all recorded, they're there, they're waiting for you in the day of judgment, in the day of mizan, will be measured for you. But is there anything else can help us? Anything else would do anything on our behalf? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared it, that other than your deeds, other than your actions, which has already been calculated, one item which is ash-shafa'ah, which is somebody to intercede on your behalf. To intercede, and we all know, it's on many levels. And this requires a whole 1 hour class to talk about, or halaqah to talk about the intercession. Like, for instance, a son could intercede in the behalf of his father. A father could intercede in the behalf of his own son. The good pious father, the good pious son, the good pious daughter who recites the Qur'an would intercede in the behalf of relatives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the higher status. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of their piety, because of their nature, because of what they have done here on the face of this earth. And sometimes the shaheed, and that's also another hour of halaqah to talk about what is shaheed, which is the actual translation is a witness, to talk about. And the shaheed also, he get to intercede on some of the hadith, 70 of his own family and the closest people to him, because these people have a higher status. Who else? The prophets. And the prophets also, they get to intercede on our behalf. Rasulullah ﷺ gave us many of the hadith. He told us who his shafa'ah, his intercession, will become obligatory upon. Who? Well, like one of them is, we all know, and this is the most famous, is that to ask and make dua after every single adhan. We make dua, Allahumma rabbana ati Sayyidina Muhammad al-wasila wal-fadila. When we ask, we make dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him al-wasila. What is the wasila? That is, now, mashallah, this is a linguistic meaning. Wasilat means the means. But the wasila in our deen, it is one place in the Jannah. This one person in the whole human race will gain it. One guy, one person. It's called al-wasila. And Rasulullah said, this one person will get to that place, very special place. Rasulullah does not know if he's going to get it or not. He says, any of my ummah who make dua for me to go to that place or to gain that place, I will intercede in his behalf. And that is the wasila. This is an easy way. What is the other way? The other way is that for us to truly follow Rasulullah in his ways. Rasulullah would intercede on your behalf. And then we know from the hadith is that, for us to follow his ways and for us to pay our zakah. You remember the hadith in Sahih Bukhari that we're reciting, is that somebody will come in and he's carrying the sheep and it's making noise on his back, and carrying the cow on his back. And he goes, Ya Muhammad, he says, Ya Rasulullah, help me. He says, how want I help you? You did not pay the zakah and that money. So what you need to do the right thing to gain that intercession, and you need to stay away from things which stop that intercession from coming to you. Also on our deen, in your deen. Rasulullah ﷺ told us in the other hadith, he says, for every prophet there's one dua. One dua. And we make this dua. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it to him, no matter what that dua is. Rasulullah ﷺ has informed us, he says, I have saved mine for the day of judgment. What do you think that dua would be for Rasulullah ﷺ at that day? Will he make dua for himself to enter the Jannah? He already guaranteed the Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed him he's going to enter the Jannah, inshallah. Actually, we all know from the other hadith that all the prophets, what they do is that they get to see their place in Jannah. They get to see their place in Jannah, even here on the face of this earth. So, he's not going to ask for that. What is he going to ask for? Hurul Ain? What is he going to ask for? What do you think he's going to ask for? To save his ummah, to save us, to save this ummah, to save humanity overall, inshallah, the intercession. Now we talk about the intercession, ash-shafa'ah, and this is a big element. In our communities here, subhanAllah, we don't use it very much. Nobody could intercede too much on the behalf of others. But back in the communities, like, in Muslim communities, نتشفع على بعض, we always, this is a very common thing, You get a traffic ticket, and then you go to, the neighbor of the police officer who gave you the ticket. You walk up to him and say, that's your neighbor, go talk to him. Intercede on my behalf. So the guy knocks on his door. That's, of course, in the other countries that you knock on his door and say, so-and-so, you give him a ticket. That's my cousin or my friend and whatever. You say, okay, just because you intervene on his behalf, let me, tear it up and it's gone. That's a traffic ticket. What about sometimes you want to do some paperwork? We have a lot of paperwork to do in our countries, right? In the countries, in the Islamic countries. A lot of paperwork. Nothing will get done unless you either grease the wheels or or you have somebody to intercede on your behalf, subhanAllah. Now, in the day of judgment, this is the way. Here we don't relate to it too much. I'm trying to explain it to some of the youth. Is that somebody who intercedes on behalf, and he goes, why? Well, what does that mean? I don't get it. But when you tell it to somebody who come in, from Middle East, from Egypt, from Syria, from Jordan, or maybe possibly Pakistan or India, we know exactly what you're talking about. This is a very common practice in our daily lives. Even we use it between a mother and a father and their son. When the son makes mistake, and the father is punishing him, and the mother would come in, would intercede on his behalf. He say, please forgive him, just because of me, whatever. And the father says, all right, because of you, I'm going to forgive you. You're a little rascal. You've done this, whatever. Now,
he had to forgive.
Of course.
He cannot live in the house.
He'll be him, and his son will be out of the house. True. Now, it's and this is what we say: Al-Muslimu kayyisun fatin. The Muslim has to be smart when he can intercede, when he has to accept the intercession of others, inshallah. Now, but look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Man dhal ladhi, who would dare, who will be able to intercede on anybody else's behalf, except with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even if somebody is trying to intercede, wants to intercede on the behalf of anybody else, even though it's a good deed, would not even dare, would not even be able to do it, would not even think about it without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is to imply His strength, apply His jabarut, His amazing or complete control of others, of all His creation. This is a subtle way, inshallah, to describe it. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Now, this is the shafa'ah, the strength, the jabarut, the ability. There's unmatchable. There's nothing like it. Nobody could come near it. Nobody would be able to do anything in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or anything near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, does this creator, how much knowledge does he have? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing every single attribute about Himself. Strength, unmatchable. Ability, unmatchable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, His ways, hayy, He's ever living, He does not die. He's qayyum, He keeps the affairs of others, He keeps His affairs, His own self. Qayyum. He does not go to sleep. He does not get drowsy or sleepy. Who would dare, look at this, to intervene in lahu ma fi sama. He owns what's in heaven and earth. Now, knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. What is in front of them, this is the literal translation. وَمَا خَلْفَهُم, what's behind them. And we say here, does that mean time or space? What does that mean, time or space? When I tell you something in front of you time-wise, ahead of you, Do you know what's going to happen 2 hours from now? Do you know what's going to happen 10 hours from now? Do you know what's going to happen, 10 days from now? A year from now? We don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in front of them, time-wise. And وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ, what they have done, what has been taking place in the past. Knows the past and knows the future. And us, how do we know we obviously don't know the future, right? There's no way for us to know the future. But what we know, some is the past. How do we know the past? One out of two. Either we witnessed it, we saw it ourselves, or somebody else has told us about it. And that is a limited knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. He knows what is their future, all their future, and He knows their past. Everything has gone in the past. That is all within the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is a simple thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What about space? What about space? Does He know? Do you notice the association between space and time and space? They're one or the other. Because if you know what, like let's say this, if I tell you an incident happened in the past, the very first thing you say, you know what? Let's say the battle of, when the Mongols entered Baghdad, for instance. Anybody who would have this knowledge has to associate this knowledge of this incident from a time point of view, from incident, to a space. It actually happened in a specific place in the past. And somebody who would know that time, know that incident, has to have full knowledge of the space that took place in it too as well. So they're one or the other. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that and knows the past space and time and knows the future space and time. That is within the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا يحيطون ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows all this, but does His knowledge is within His realm or others know it? And if others know it, how do they know it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِعِلْمِهِ. They don't know, people, His creation. And now we say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He talks about Himself and talk about others, He's talking about His creation. Because what we know in the whole universe is two things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, and everything else is the creation. There's nothing else in between. There's nothing else. It has to be either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, the one, and everything else, the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِعِلْمِهِ, and they, Damir, they, who's they? Would be His creation. His creation have no idea about His knowledge. They cannot, gain His knowledge. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِعِلْمِهِ, except what He chooses to divulge and tell them about. This is also a subtle way to imply His powerful nature. He would only give the knowledge to whoever He pleases, whoever He wants, within His way to allow it to happen.
Sheikh, I got a quick question.
Sure.
I'm just going to go a little bit back on the intercession part. Right? When you say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the ability for somebody to intercede, we're talking about on the earth as well. Like say if I'm sick and I ask this brother, so can you make dua for me?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So are we talking about that part, right?
Absolutely. That as well.
I think, in our area where I come from, like Kashmir in India and Pakistan and all that, like people actually take that further ahead, when that's when people die, they start gathering,
Everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everywhere.
Absolutely.
Is it part of the, it's basically an extension of what actually is not true though. Once they're dead, and what happens after that?
Right. It's actually both ways. The intercession as kind of in a subtle way, what I discussed is that we use it as part of our culture, is that somebody would intercede on the behalf of somebody else and they face this earth. How can somebody intercede or make shafa'ah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here on the face of this earth? Absolutely. The good pious, like Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, will make dua to someone, Ya Allah, give him health. Ya Allah, we know many incidents like these. Do you remember the day of Khaybar? the day of Khaybar, when Rasulullah, the armies will go into Khaybar, they're, after the people, the occupants of Khaybar, they violated the treaty with Rasulullah after the battle of Ahzab. Rasulullah he says, tomorrow I'm going to give the flag, the leadership, to a man who, this man loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves him. Umar ibn Khattab said, Ya Allah, let it be me, Ya Allah, let it be me. All the Sahaba saying, Ya Allah, radiallahu anhu, say, Allah, let it be me. Who was it? Ali ibn Abi Talib. But Ali ibn Abi Talib has the ramad. He had a sickness, illness in his eyes. He cannot open up his eyes. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam took him and he wiped his eyes. And he says, Wallahi, I've never used my eyes as good as that day when he wiped, my eyes with his hands. There's intercession of some sort here has happened, right? Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam made dua to people. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu came and complained to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, Rasulullah, my memory is not that good. I don't remember things. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam came to him and he, kind of struck him lightly on his chest. He says, Ya Allah, he made dua to him for him to improve his memory. And he says, Wallahi, I've never forgot anything I heard afterwards. This intercession here has happened, right? Intercession with what? With dua. The good pious people, this is what they do. Do people, or regular people, normal people, can they intercede in the behalf of the dead? Absolutely, absolutely. And we know from the hadith, Rasulullah told us that if 40 people and up, more than 40 people minimum number, 2 and up, when they're making dua to somebody who just passed away and they're making dua right around the salah time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yushaffi'uhum fih. He will give him shafa'ah, intercede in his behalf that day. Why? The malaika will be sitting there, will be writing down. How many people are going to say good things about this guy? They'll be writing down. If you say, Ya Allah, he was a good guy, Ya Allah forgive him, Ya Allah forgive him, Ya Allah forgive him. Or some others who stood there, Ya Allah, alhamdulillah, we got rid of him. Alhamdulillah, we got rid of him. Or some people just sit there quiet. They're just doing it because they have to. You notice that? You go to a funeral, people are just sitting down quiet. What do? You should make dua to this person because your dua will be considered as intercession on the behalf of that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold whatever it has been said about him, all this dua that has been said to him in his sake, will take it and say, okay, fine, these people have made dua for you on your behalf, I will hold, I'll hold it for you, the day. And that keeps going on and on and on and on. You're absolutely right. It's that.
I think our brother, he means
my question was, actually that's, Jazakallah Sheikh for clarifying that. My second part of the question was that it's actually probably a comment more than a question, is that once these people, so there is a pious person among us, and he, of course he has the ability to intercede on behalf, and things are happening for other people. So I have a problem, I go to him, he intercedes, and
right.
And this gentleman dies. And that's when the other part comes in. They bury him, and then that becomes a mazar, and then people start praying, and so, and then it leads to a kind of like an indirect shirk, because it has happened. I mean, it happens in our part of the world a lot.
Yeah, you should not call it indirect shirk. It is actually shirk.
I mean, yes.
It is definitely shirk. There is a certain limits of what we are allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. Now watch. People used to come to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam continuously to make dua for them. And Rasulullah alayhi salatu continuously used to make dua for them, and every once in a while he used to make dua just for the dua. But more often than not, he used to require them to do the work first. Do you remember the story of Rabi' ibn Ka'b al-Aslami? He used to be the servant of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. When we know the story, the long story, let's make it short inshallah. When he saw Rasulullah coming to the Medina, he looked at him, he says, La ilaha illallah. This man, Rasulullah, he has the face of a truthful person. Innahu rajul sadiq, he's telling the truth. And he looked at him, he said, what am I going to do with him? He says, he came up to him, he said, Ya Rasulullah, he said, can I be your servant? Rasulullah accepted. So at the beginning, he used to go to Rasulullah in the morning, and he used to leave at night. And then he thought to himself, said, What am I doing? Why wouldn't I just, how about if Rasulullah ﷺ wants something at night? Let me be there with him too as well. So he used to camp right at the door of Rasulullah ﷺ. So one day, and Rasulullah ﷺ at night, he used to be up making tahajjud, making salah continuously. And Rabi'a used to sit there, he used to doze off, gets up on Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Goes back to sleep, he gets up on La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La Rasulullah ﷺ behind the door. It's not like our doors today. They used to hear more what they actually, kept. So one day Rasulullah ﷺ came to him and said, Ya Rabi'a, ask me and I will make dua for you. So Rabi'a looked at him, he said, Rasulullah, he thought, that's a golden opportunity. What am I going to do? So he thought to himself, he says, you know what, Ya Rasulullah, can you give me, give me some time, let me think about this. I have one chance at this, I really, really want to make it count. So he took him a couple of days, then Rasulullah ﷺ came to him and he says, Ya Rabi'a, is'alni, fa'atik, ask me and I'll give you. So Rabi'a looks at him and says, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, Ya Rasulullah, can you, or would you make dua for me to be your companion in Jannah? Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, when he heard this, smiled. And he looked at him and said, Ya Rabi'a, who taught you that? Who taught you this? When a teacher hears a student that is saying something beautiful like that, a good question in the right place, and the right, parameters of what you're teaching, you get all happy, But he wanted to make sure, it's like, does he mean it? Or, what? He says, Rabi'a answered him back. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I thought about myself, what I have here on the face of this earth. And I'm happy being here with you, and I'm happy to serve you. But I thought, you're going to be going to, to the Jannah, and you're going to be there by yourself. And there's nothing more likable to me, nothing I could think of, anything better. That is something would be everlasting to me, better than for me to say that dua, for me to be your companion in Jannah. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam answered him like I said. They said, Naam, walakin a'inni ala nafsika bis-sujud. He says, yes, but help me against yourself, or with yourself, with sujood. What's the story here? What has happened? Rasulullah alayhi salam, his dua is accepted, definitely, no questions asked. And he could have easily been, you know what? He's a good person, he's a good servant, he devoted himself to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. He'd make dua for him, and that's easy for Rasulullah alayhi salam. So why would Rasulullah alayhi salam tell him, say, A'inni ala nafsak, help me with yourself for you to make more sujood? Is it because Rabi'a did not live up to his potential? Maybe. Or maybe because Rabi'a was sitting behind the door, listening or hearing somebody making dua, and he's not. He's just sitting there getting drowsy, sleeping. Why wouldn't you join in the dua like Rasulullah? Or maybe just simply because reward with the work that you do. Unfortunately today, and this is a common thing amongst us, but you know what, subhanAllah, we want to get the easy way out. I don't want to do any work. I want to come to my sheikh at the end of the week and say, oh, please make dua for me. Allah forgive me. I sinned. Who does that? Yeah. You know exactly who does that, right? We wake up, we say, we've been sinning all day, all week, lying, staying away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We go at the end of the week, we say, oh yeah, Sheikh, please, let me kiss your hand, let me give you $10, donate something, and make dua for me so I'll be saved from my sins. That's not the way in Islam. Rasulullah, that somebody is not even worthy of even shafa or intercession at this point, because you have to earn it. You have to work hard at it. There's no easy way out. There's no easy way out for us to get the satisfaction of the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The easy way is the work and the dua and the salah and reciting the Qur'an and coming to the masjid. That is the way you gain the higher status. That's how you gain it. SubhanAllah, it became a culture in Islam, which was not done in the days of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. It rarely was done back then, because he was the Prophet, and way less so in the days of the Sahaba. We don't remember that people used to go to the Khalifa Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, Hadrat Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. People used to come up to him and say, and used to come by his door, used to kiss his hand, give him some money, make dua for us, so we'll be saved as an ummah. Nobody does that. And somebody would be accepted his dua after Rasulullah ﷺ would be his Sahaba, right? Would be the closest Sahaba. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, and so forth, and so forth. Nobody has ever done that. We know one Sahabi, or many Sahaba, their dua was accepted. One of them is Saeed ibn Abi al-Waqqas. That's one of them. Yeah. His dua was accepted. And Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned it. He says, Rabba ash'athin aghbar. Rabba, somebody who is, his hair you find all messed up and he's all dusty, but his dua will be accepted. One of them is Saeed ibn Abi al-Waqqas. How many times did Saeed ibn Abi al-Waqqas use his dua for something? He used to do it all the time. Ya Allah, forgive us. Ya Allah, do this. Ya Allah, do this. Ya Allah, do this. It's been mentioned that one time there was this woman who accused him of something bad, and actually she was accusing the Sahaba of she was being belligerent with them. She's saying those Sahaba did this. So he came up to her and he says, if you don't stop, I will make dua on you. And she says, who do you think you are? You're a prophet or something? Or who do you think you are? And he says, he made wudu and he made turqa. He says, Ya Allah, if she's not, being truthful and she's telling a lie, Ya Allah, get rid of her. Ya Allah, take her away. And subhanAllah, one of the stories that she was in the marketplace and you see a camel that came in rushing from one edge and rushing towards her and just boom, just right on that woman and stumbled upon her and killed her within minutes of that dua being done. But this is once. We have who else? We say Al-Barra ibn Malik. Al-Barra, mashallah, the brave man who had his own ruh, his own soul in his palm. He wanted to, he's like doing this to it. And yet he died an older man, subhanAllah. And we know the day he died, that was his dua, subhanAllah. Look how they used to think. They sat there right before they go into battle. The battle of the time, and one of them says, one of them was making dua. I said, Ya Allah, make me meet this big giant, enemy of mine, and he would come up to me, and I would take him, and I would, cut off his nose, and I would do that to him, and I would, and I would just, stab him in the stomach, and I would kill him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the enemy of Islam. Barra ibn Malik, he say, Ya Allah, let me meet this big giant guy, and he's gonna come up to me, he will stick me, he will cut off my nose, he will do this. And he did the opposite. And subhanAllah, the guy who was narrated the hadith, he says, subhanAllah, he says, after everything said and done, I go look at Barra ibn Malik, I saw his nose was cut off, and I say his stomach was stabbed. Exactly the same dua that he made. The same thing has happened. Now, is this our ways? It's not our ways. It's not our ways to come up to people and make dua and to say, but subhanAllah, we want the easy way out, And we hear this continuously, like especially after the salah, after salat Jum'ah, after salat, I got my mother in my country, whatever, Damascus, whatever, Halab, here and there, she passed away. Oh, Sheikh, make dua for her. Yeah, this happened 3 weeks ago, and the door has been shut, it's been closed. She's already been buried, it's done. It's not, if you really want to benefit her as her son, your actions, your deeds will be accounted on her behalf. Not my actions, not the Sheikh's action, not anybody's action, not anybody's dua is going to benefit at this point. The only time will benefit until he get buried. That person get buried. That's it. The only thing will benefit you from this earthly life after somebody's buried is 3 things, as we know. علم ينتفع به, knowledge, or صدقة جارية that makes it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A waladun salih, a good son. And subhanAllah, I find the sons and the daughters, they go back to their daily lives like nothing happened. But you know what they do? They always come to the masjid, make dua for my mother, make dua for my father, make dua. Yeah, this is not the way, and this is not going to benefit anyway. This is Rasulullah informed. This is not something beneficial in our deen. The benefit is your actions, your deeds will be accounted for you and for your parents, and they will get paid the same reward, and your reward is not going to get deducted by anything. What a Rahmanur Rahim, what a great greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Going off the path even one, what did it say? What? 1/4 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, even a little bit. Ya akhi, it takes us way off the path, because that would be the beginning, that would be downhill from there. It leads into the shirk. Because what happens? You got somebody, and subhanAllah, we find this, in Damascus and Syria and Egypt and whatever. You find people say, that guy is waliullah. That guy, his dua is accepted. You go to him, you give him money, you kiss his hand, you hug him, and you brush against his clothes, okay. So when he dies, he becomes more wali now. That's even more. We go to him, and it's not like we bring him flowers to his grave at this point. It's not like we visit his grave. No, we visit his grave and we make dua to him so he can intercede on our behalf to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the epitome of shirk. That is what shirk is. When he's alive, it's kind of give and take. But when you go to, when somebody's dead, so that person is dead. That person is not going to do you any good. He needs you to make dua for him. He does not. You don't need him. It's too late for for him to do anything to benefit you any which way. And we need to be extremely careful. There's many lessons in this one here. Many lessons that not to go stray off the path. Just always stick to the rules of Islam, because going off the way is so easy, so simple. And sometimes you go off the path with the little something actually you think is so innocent. Like, I don't mean it. I'm not. What's a big deal? All of a sudden somebody counted to be a mushrik, complete in the kufr side. What's the difference between these people who claims to be Muslims, who goes to the graves, which is basically a physical, a structure, and they ask somebody or something in there to intervene or to do stuff for them? What's the difference between them and the kuffar in the days of Rasulullah? They used to go to the idols, and they used to ask him, give me this and do this for me and do that for me. What's the difference? There's no difference. Same thing. This is the kafir. The only difference is that this guy claims to be a Muslim, say, I am Muslim, and the other guy says, I hate Islam. I got nothing to do with Islam. That's the only difference. But actually the action is the same. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And that's maybe inshallah when we go through the Tafsir and Kathir in the Hadith, we can touch on these subjects continuously inshallah to fix the idea of the illnesses and the diseases we have in our societies that gets us off the path. And let me tell you, brothers, we are definitely, no questions asked. When people, and this is a big argument from the non-Muslims, they always walk up and say, if your deen is so correct and so truthful and is the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how come, and you, mashallah, the big numbers, you have close to 2 billion Muslims around the world, 1 out of 5 people, 1 out of 4, whatever. He says, how come you're not successful? How come, this is happening to you? And this is an argument. If you're holding the truthful flag and you got the right thing and you got the only book from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how come you're not, how come you're being oppressed, or how come you're, most of the Islamic countries, they have the least amount of rain, subhanAllah, you notice, and we have the most amount of disasters. And they ask you this question, and you know what? This is something we should be thinking about. We should know that we are definitely doing something wrong for us to be in that state. And vice versa. Let's make it interactive. Let's say, if you see a Muslim that is not successful, it means he's doing something wrong. And you see a Muslim who's doing something wrong, you're going to find him not being successful. That's the bottom line. This is the ways. When the Muslims took their deen, grabbed on their deen, they really took it exactly how it was revealed to Rasulullah, and they followed the path, they were successful. And we see the days, we've seen it in the history. And we know when they left their deen, when they left their salah, or they left their, the basics of their deen, they become, failures, or they have failed in their lives. It's interactive, it's like that. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Naam. Barakallah feek. Naam. So we'll keep going inshallah. I hope that was وإياكم inshallah. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. They don't know anything about His knowledge except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to have the knowledge from Him. And this is something really important for us to know. When we think about knowledge, how does knowledge come to us? Is it by our own work, or is it a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's always a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I always give you the example and I say, how many billions and billions of apples have fell from trees? It took one apple to fall on the head of Isaac Newton to realize there's something called gravity. And gravity is the most basic concept in our existence. If we don't have gravity, you fly. Why wouldn't I fly? Why wouldn't I be, going up there? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him the knowledge in a way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us many, many things, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ وَسُلَيْمَانَ عِلْمًا وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted Dawood alayhi salam and Sulaiman alayhi salam ilm and knowledge. He said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the only thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Rasulullah alayhi salam to make dua and say, give me more of in the Qur'an is one thing. Rabbi zidni ilma. This is the only thing he says. Increase my knowledge. Knowledge is not something that we gain on our own. We do the work, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant the knowledge to people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know in the Qur'an, the very first ship that we know, this is disputable in history. Some people said yes, some people said no. The very first ship ever built was taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his prophet Nuh alayhi salam. That was the very first ship. People did not even fathom the concept is that something would float and I could actually ride on it to go from point A to point B on the water. It's an amazing concept. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught it to Nuh alayhi salam. The iron and the steel. وَأَلَنَّا لِدَاوُودَ الْحَدِيدِ. The steel and, using the steel was not, known to mankind until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Dawood alayhi salam. He was able to use it, And so forth and so forth is the knowledge coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We make the asbab. We take the ways, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the one who gives us the knowledge. And I'll just give you an example. Watch. I went to a graduation USC a while back. Some of the brothers one of the brother was actually graduating, a doctor. Out of this, the people graduating, I think there was 452 doctors, MDs. And from this 452 people who graduated, you look at them and say, subhanAllah, maybe 10% or even 5%, you say like maybe 20 or 30 from this 450 are really, really good doctors. They really know what they're doing. And you get 50% of them, 50% of these doctors are basically, they're mediocres. They're just going there, they do their thing, whatever. And you got, like maybe another 30%, less so, and you got the 20% are horrible. They don't know anything from anything. And you go, what happened here? When you put the exam, when you go through the exam for you to enter the medical school, the old GPA is the same, they look at their standards the same, their IQ is the same, they got to meet the criteria, they're all there, When they go through the schooling, it's the same, professors, the same teachers, the same labs, the same everything. After 6 or 7 or 8 years of studying, people graduate and you find out, 450 people who passed the test. Why is it you got 5 of them, or 10 or 20, are really good doctors? They really know their business. They really are very knowledgeable. They know things and they act upon it. And 50%, they're just going there just for them to get paid, their payroll check, whatever it is for the money. And the others, maybe you get somebody from Home Depot knows about medicine more than they do. And you go, why? How come these people know this way? How come? And the criteria is all the same. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted this way. We should always seek the knowledge. طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. Now, what about the knowledge of the deen? And that is the true benefit. مَنْ أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. That's hadith we recited in Sahih Bukhari. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants somebody to benefit from something. What does He do for him? يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. He will teach him, he will increase his knowledge in deen. Imam Malik says something beautiful. He says, طَلَبْتُ الْعِلْمَ لِنَفْسِي. He says, when I wanted ilm, knowledge, I thought I got it for myself. I just wanted to be knowledgeable about my deen. فَوَجَدَ اللَّهُ بِي خَيْرًا أو barakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the barakah of my knowledge, taught others with my knowledge. So when he went to the halaqat, when he went to study, he just wanted to learn his deen. And I'm sure in his days, within the halaqat he used to attend, there were hundreds of thousands possibly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alam. I mean, people used to come learn their deen, learn the Qur'an continuously. How come from all those, we know the scholars, we know Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad, Imam 4, 5, 10, 15. Why are these the most knowledgeable? Why are their names being left behind? These are the ones who wrote the books. This is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge is a big thing in Islam. Huge. There's no benefit, there's no better barakah like the knowledge that we gain, especially from our books, from our deen. That's how you excel and you get ahead in your life. Now inshallah, we're at the time and we want to talk about the وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. Inshallah, we'll talk about this next week, inshallah, because we come in time, especially the وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. We'll talk about the Kursi, what is the attributes of the Kursi, what is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about it, especially in this ayah. We also get to talk a little bit about the other attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the Arsh and the Kursi and the Samawat wal Ard from there, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the knowledge and the ilm, inshallah. Barakallah.